After checking out MSI's GTX 1650 Super Gaming X model, it's time to see what their competition has to offer for this series. Hi guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to my channel. This is Gigabyte's take on the GTX 1650 Super series. In particular, this is their Windforce OC model, and let's just try... I'm disappointed in myself. And let's just jump right into it and take a closer look at what it brings. Since I already went over the technical details and specifications of this particular series and GPU that it carries, that being Nvidia's TU116, feel free to check that video out, there will be a link in the right top corner of this one. I will just cut straight to this model's features and design. As this is a lower tier segment of graphics cards by its nature, by that I mean its price, this model maybe isn't that much attractive as their other ones, but it does have some similar design cues, before all on account of being a part of Windforce series. The top shroud is completely plastic, it's mostly black. We do have some dark gray details and Gigabyte's logo on the side, which isn't actually lit, and as a matter of fact we don't have any lighting on this model at all. What we do have is a backplate, which is unfortunately plastic and not metal, something I saw for the first time just recently on their RX 5500 XT gaming OC model, feel free to check it out afterwards, but that was sort of expected considering the overall cost of it. At least you will get something because MSI's one didn't have anything. It does look a bit nicer than just having a plain exposed PCB, although it's far from giving you that premium build feel. The card measures 225mm in total length. On the front of it you will find a video output layout consisting out of HDMI, DisplayPort and DVI-D for some reason. I honestly don't know why are they still putting it. While on the other end of that we have a single 6-pin PCI Express power connector for powering up the card. For cooling off the components we have two 90mm fans which are part of the card's Windforce 2X design, which also has 3D active fan design that stops them spinning when the card is not under heavy load. They also rotate in different directions from each other, so it doesn't create any turbulence, but rather to achieve a consistent flow. Below them there's a big single piece of aluminum heatsink through which runs an S-shaped copper heat pipe, helping with moving the heat more effectively, while the heatsink itself makes direct contact with the GPU and VRMs on the front. Let's just first jump over to some of my gameplay footage with this card before we check out the results. The live performance figure will be shown in the left top corner of this video. You can also find my setup which I use here to test out this GPU in the description box down below, and if you have any questions about this particular model, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and I will try to help you out.
It's over. Bunker is in here. More rebels. Wait for my signal. Get close.
Taking a look at the benchmarking results, there's really not that much to it. This card is made for 1080p gaming, anything else would be a bit of a stretch for it, maybe at 1440p if you go easy on the graphics settings, while 4K is obviously out of the question, being it on account of not having that much raw power for it, plus the fact that it only has 4GB of GDDR6 video memory. Overclocking it further will not get you too far, but it will bring few additional frames, especially at 1080p. I've managed to squeeze out about 10% of additional performance gain with these settings shown here, which is a pretty okay result, especially since it took me maybe 10 minutes or so to get to it and validate if it's stable. With this, the GPU clock speed was mostly above 2 GHz, at stock it roams around 1900 MHz, usually a bit below, while the memory was maxed out at 1875 MHz, and if it's not stable for you too, just lower down the clocks a bit, test it out, and repeat the process until you are clear and stable. This model of course comes in with the factory overclock, but this way you will get even more out of it. The whole system pulled around 170 watts from the wall, with only the card being under load using Firmark GPU stress test, so when you subtract the system idle power consumption, you will get that the card itself pulls around 120 watts from the wall. The GPU-Z was reporting around 90 to 100 watts, depending on the load, which is up there when you count in the power supply efficiency. Looking at the GPU temperature, it barely crossed 60 degrees Celsius under full load, which is a good result, but then again it's to be expected since this is not a high TDP card, while with the card idling you will see it just below 50 degrees Celsius as the fans don't spin, but this can vary depending on your airflow situation and chassis fan setup. Having that in mind, it's somewhat strange that the card's fans mostly run at 1900 to 2100 RPM, which is sort of unnecessary everything considered. And beside that, the fan curve is really all over the place, which is kinda becoming Gigabyte's thing. They seem to have very unusual ways of tuning their fan profiles, at least from what I recently saw, based on how their fans operate and how they act according to a change in GPU temperature. With this model they again ramp up instantly when they feel any bit of load, but this time they at least don't move around that much, they pretty much stay locked in at that 1900 to 2100 RPM range, which was for my taste too loud and again felt a bit over the top cooling wise for this GPU. I don't know if they maybe did this because of the VRM or video memory temperature, as I don't have any readout for them. I'm planning to get temperature probes for situations like this, but in the meantime I've decided to make a custom fan curve using MSI's Afterburner. With doing so, in the end the fans were running at about 1500 to 1600 RPM at full load, which made the card much quieter, while the GPU temperature went up by about 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. I've also made the fan curve ramp up more progressively, so it eases in and it's not in your face like anymore. Here's a short sound clip of the fans while the card being under load in its stock and my custom scenario, while also showing you the sound meter for a measurement comparison. Although for some this won't be that big of an issue, I would really like to see them improve their fan profiles with this and their other products. It's after all that part of a graphics card where they don't actually need to do anything substantial except invest some time in order to get the best out of it, just to tune it a bit better, cause they do make good products when we talk about value for your money, especially in relation to their Windforce and gaming series, which this model comes from. As for the GTX 1650 Super series overall, it's a pretty compelling budget choice, especially when comparing it with its price-based predecessor, the GTX 1050 Ti. I've actually did a showdown between them, feel free to check it out in the right top corner. If you don't mind this particular model being a bit louder, it's a pretty straightforward choice. That's it for this time from me, thank you once again for watching, please take a second to toss me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my content, that really helps a lot. And if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe, and if you already are, be sure to press that notification bell down below so you don't miss out on a new video. And until then, catch you later guys.